Hi, welcome to today's video. Today we're at Folkestone, just near Dover and the Channel Tunnel. Folkestone's in Kent on the south coast of the UK, just near Dover, and it has one long promenade. There are so many different types of buildings. I mean, as we walk down the street in Folkestone, we're coming towards Folkestone, and just about every house that we come across, every building, doesn't seem to match the one next to it. You've got houses there that could be on a housing estate in the middle of a city. You've got houses with balconies on it. At one side of the street, you've got flats. And as you continue to walk down, there's houses that look as though well, they're not cheap looking houses, some of these. I mean, look at that. Unique. And each house just looks as though it's been taken from somewhere else. As you walk down the seafront at Folkestone, there's this promenade that goes for seemingly miles. But look at these beach huts that are multicoloured. And I've split this up a little bit because, as you can see, there's more than one or two. There are beach huts everywhere along this promenade, and all of them just a little different in colour. Looks fantastic. And then ever so often, you'll come across something unique. And yes, that's a beach hut. It's been designed to look something special, something different, not boring. As you can see from this plat, this was made in 2014, and there's a number of beach huts that I'm going to go over with you as we walk along because they are so unique. But this one, I mean, let's face it, how many beach huts have got a tower on the top like that? First one I've seen. But then you come across this right next door to it. Beach huts like the ones that we've just walked past are always on the seafront. But no, not at Folkestone. We'll stack them up. Totally unique. And then ever so often, you get something like this. A seal with what looks like an Eskimo next to it. Totally and utterly unique. The promenade goes on for one long distance, and I think probably this is the best time to tell you some of the interesting facts about Folkestone. One of the things that people maybe don't realise about Folkestone is, in actual fact, it was called a limb town. Now what that means is basically it wasn't classed as a proper town or village, but just part of another town that happens to have stretched out a bit further. And Folkestone was classed as part of Dover. Well, that was up until 1629 when they finally got the right to call themselves their own port. Many people in Folkestone don't even realise that there's a network of tunnels underneath the town itself. These were actually going back to the times of the Napoleonic Wars, when there were a defensive network in case they were invaded, for people to get all the way back to Dover Castle. There are many famous people who are linked to Folkestone. You've got the likes of Tracy Emin, who's that, shall I say, alternative or contemporary artist, most famous for her tent. Her actual studio was once actually in a former public toilet. The British comedian Eric Morecambe, who, if you were in the 60s, 70s, or even into the 80s, was one of the top comedians of all time in the UK, Eric and Ernie. He actually spent a lot of time in Folkestone, and it's said that he homed a lot of his comedic talents here. So much so that there's actually a statue in the harbour for Eric Morecambe. Charles Dickens often visited Folkestone, and he actually wrote about it in part of his novel David Copperfield. In World War I, over 100,000 Belgian refugees fleeing from the war on the continent stayed in Folkestone. Where? I have no idea, because when you look at the size of it, 100,000 people arriving there would destroy the town nowadays. Queen Victoria often used to visit Folkestone as a seaside resort, which isn't too far from London. She even had her own bathing machine specifically for her use only at Folkestone. And if you don't know what a bathing machine is, it was basically a shed on wheels where somebody could get changed without people able to see them, for women. As you look at the beach as we're walking along, you'll notice that it is mainly pebbles. Now that's right at this side of the harbour. If you go to the other side of the harbour, especially worth visiting during the summer months, you've got a proper sandy beach. Why there's so much difference within a couple of 100 yards of each other, I don't know. But I know which I would sooner be sat on or sunbathing on during those hot, blistering English summers that we have once every 10 years. We're getting a lot closer now to the main area of Folkestone, and if you look, you can see straight ahead there is what can only be described as a very, very modern looking building right on the seafront. We're now actually coming to the end of the promenade, and we're about to go on something that's unique, as far as I'm aware, in the UK. A boardwalk. Yes, wooden planks that continue right along the seafront, well, past all the pebbles, which, to be honest, in the summer months, put a beach towel down or a chair, be a lovely place to actually have a picnic or something. But going back to the boardwalk, yes, I've speeded up this film because of the fact that it goes on and on and on and on. This is one long pathway past the new hotels. I presume it's a hotel. Past some of the Victorian structures at the side. Have a look there, yep. And it just keeps going. You will notice signs along here giving a bit of history to the place, and here's one in specific history that's fairly recent. See that picture of a dome at the top? Just up here was an enormous fun fair, until fairly recently. Now, we've got a car park. And again, another thing that's been added fairly recently, a little place to sit, shelter from the sun. That white building that's protruding there is the Grand Burston, quite a famous hotel in Folkestone. I don't know if any of you have ever stayed at it, but I'd love to hear what you hear about it, because of the fact that it seems to be having a very bad reputation of itself recently. Maybe that's unfounded, maybe it isn't. But if you're interested in a hotel in Folkestone, watch our video on the Holiday Inn Express. But do, in the comments, tell me about the Grand Burston. No experience of it myself, I've just seen the reviews. Here's an old tramway that goes straight to the beach from the cliff top, likes that you used to get at every seaside resort, now just a cafe. Finally coming to the end of the boardwalk, but like everything in Folkestone, it's just that little bit different. So, what do you normally expect to see on a beach? Well, palm trees aren't necessarily your first choice, but a roped off area with a mini golf course. So you've had your game of golf. What do you want to do now? Oh, I don't know. Let's sit down and have a drink. So where shall we sit down? I know. In some dodgems. Or perhaps you'd prefer the waltzers. Certainly you need to make place to have something to drink. And yes, that is a cafe behind it. So you've had your drink, and let's face it, you might need to spend a penny or two. So where's the best place to go? Yes, the platform for the railway. Okay, so it's not actually a platform for a railway anymore. What they've done is taken the old platform, rejuvenated it, and put some shops and cafes into the old buildings. But it is the most unique feeling when you're trying to walk across those tracks. You know there's nobody there, but you still get that eerie feeling there's a train going to be coming up behind you any moment. They have done a good job at restoring it. It does look like 10 minutes ago the last train went down there, and they've used railway sleepers at the edge to help climb up and down from the platforms. But this actual platform was the end of the line in Folkestone. Going to the end of here, you was going onto the actual pier where the fishing would have been brought in, things like that. And don't get me what that is, because I have absolutely no idea why you've got a load of people carved into a big block in the middle of a platform. But it is the most strange feeling in this earth. You do, when you're crossing that, you're looking for trains to come. Doesn't help with all the signs there, as though you're back in the 1930s. And as we come up to the end of the platform, the old building there that would have controlled the platform and the crossing and the sorts of things like that, that is now a cafe. And you're right into the harbour itself. And you can see there in the distance the beginning of the White Cliffs of Dover. That's how close we are to Dover. But let's go back up the platform. We'll quickly run along here. But then you've got a whole new area to discover. And yes, that is the football going there with a nice big area, benches to drink and watch. And then you've got a market to discover as well. Unfortunately, it's Sunday. And it's late on Sunday now. So there isn't that much of it open. We'll have a walk around and see what it's like. And the thing that I do notice again, stylised cabins, not your tendency to have your normal type of market stalls. It's something different. Seems everywhere you go, it's something different with Folkestone. A very unusual place. And from here, you can walk straight out. There's a massive car park there. But here, you're heading straight onto the harbour wall. And there you can have your Greek food. Interesting menu. Little Greek bus, eh? The Greek food doesn't interest you. We've got something that's definitely not for the vegetarians. A meat shack. And that is well and truly open. Prices were nice as well. Nice on the higher side. Plenty of benches there to sunbathe at the side of the harbour. Now that looks a very unusual bird to me. If you know what it is in the comments, do let us know. Just stood there with its wings outstretched. And it isn't a small bird, that. I can assure you, it's not a small bird at all. As you walk along, there's quite a few unique, places to eat and drink, really. £3.50 for some chips. Oh, sorry, French fries. And you can have it with truffle salt. Oh, right. And next to it, not the little Greek bus, but the big Greek bus. Must be doing a lot of sales around here. Looks like there's plenty of places to eat and drink on here. Maybe not in the middle of February on a Sunday after 4 o'clock, but certainly if you came in the summer, you wouldn't have a struggle to find something to eat. You can see the white cliffs there, just coming into shot. But as we go up here is quite a famous little sign. But all the way along there's plenty of places to eat and drink. I can see this being quite a dangerous place late on a Saturday night. That's a bit different, light music. Looks a bit rusty there, never mind. Suppose when you're in the harbour you're going to get splashed a bit. And here we are, the Folkestone sign. Apparently it lights up at night and looks quite effective. And there's a lot of people have their photo taken next to it. Now there is a little secret underneath this pier. I suppose it would be classed as a pier because it's part of the harbour but protrudes a bit further, and that's down these steps. Yeah, not the sort of place you'd aim to go when you can see that the sea obviously comes up into here. But there's a man stood there. It's actually metal, and it's one of the new art things that's dotted about this place. Now the harbour itself, and across there, well, mostly underwater at the moment, is a lovely bit of beach. Don't think I'll be going on it in this weather, but middle of February is not the best time to go sunbathing. Now, did you see what I've just seen? Yes, there is a house floating in the middle of the harbour. This place is so unusual. So who'd have thought it? Folkestone isn't just the Channel Tunnel heading off to France. It is a place full of unusual beach huts, artwork, surprises round every corner, and one of the longest promenades and boardwalks I've ever seen. Is it worth a trip? Have you been before? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to watch any more of my videos, if you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button. Costs you nothing and it'll just give you a reminder when I'm about. Hopefully, see you on this next video. Bye for now.